Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Mindset, and today we're reviewing Gokurakugai. I really hope I said that right. So the funny thing about Gokurakugai, forget it. I'm just gonna call it Goku. So the funny thing about Goku is it's got about as much content as Toganaki does, but it's only 3 chapters. So I guess technically it's the shortest one I've reviewed. Or the shortest one I've seen, really. So our story starts off with some world building, talking about how people are disappearing every day and there's more mysterious deaths lately. But then when it gets to our main character, he says, "Old man, you talk too much." Bro, are you digging for gold in your ear? That's gross. Stop. But apparently this guy sent them to get some sort of incriminating photos. And the photos are of him going to adult interaction stores. And this isn't even the first time he got caught. And he's saying it's hard to give these things up. I'm sure you understand. No, I don't, you weirdo. But hey, if he's dropping 500,000 like it's nothing, who cares at this point? But the thing is, he slams the money right down and then tries to skedaddle. But I guess our main character smells something as he's trying to walk out, and right before he can open the door, he pops up right over his shoulder, calling him out for lying. And this guy really tried to scam them by putting one bill and then a bunch of regular paper in the slip. If you tried to scam me like this guy did, I'd have the same face as him, bro. I should beat the... And when they drag him back to get their money, he starts complaining like, "This is too much, it's unscrupulous." Which is rich coming from the guy that can't stop going to adult interaction stores. Did she just say this town doesn't run on friggin' scruples? Scruples? Huh. Anyway, they get this guy to pay up, which, if you had the money the entire time, why did you pull this shady stuff, dude? Like, if they're the type you hire to hide these kinds of things, aren't they the same type of people that will out you for these same kind of things if you backstab them? After that, it cuts over to them eating in a restaurant with... Why does she look like that one Luna Snowskin? But through this interaction, we find out people have been found with bite marks or have been dry of blood. Some people are even disappearing, and this is a job for the troubleshooters. Is that a real profession? Because as far as I know, the only troubleshooting there is when the Wi-Fi is not connecting on my PlayStation. And at first Tao was passive about it, but then you find out that their office is right above the restaurant they're eating in. Forget hard to spot, bro. I wouldn't go in there because it looks like a fake insurance company. So later on, Alma's walking back from some sort of shopping trip and sees someone put a missing poster up right outside their building, which I guess they don't allow. But then he notices 5 million yen to find this guy. And while he's imagining all the rewards he's gonna get for bringing this to her attention, which, dude, save that feast for after you get 5 mil. He finds a kid painting right underneath the stairs where they work. He's about to tell him how cool his art is, but then he remembers this is his building. So he cracks him upside the head for painting it. And after scolding him, he finds out this is the kid that posted that missing poster earlier. But then they go up to the office to talk to Tao, and she immediately says to hand over 300,000? By the way, that in US dollars is a little over 2K. You're telling me it's 2,000 to clean that? It doesn't even wait for any cash. Immediately starts telling him to hand over whatever he's got on him, including his clothes, which, ayo. But he refuses to pay for damages, and of course Tao's gonna be pissed because this kid's immediately refusing to pay up for graffitiing my building. You can't just spray paint the side of my house and expect me to be okay with it, dude. You gotta pay me back somehow. And then he tells us he's the... oh god. He's the scion of the Kiyomine Syndicate? Okay, dude. Nobody asked. And he's saying he'll tell his parents that they tried to extort him. Yes, the price is high, but first off, you spray painted the building. You're not just getting away with that. Second off, I'm with Alma. What is that? And Tao just sums it up as a spoiled rich kid. Okay, I think I get it now. So the reason he doesn't have any money is because he's putting all of it towards the reward for finding his friend. So basically, if they give him the case, they'll forget about any debt he has. So are troubleshooters supposed to be PIs? Because they're talking about cases, investigating people going missing. I don't know why they're called troubleshooters though. Why would you not just call them private investigators? So apparently his friend is one of the ones that went missing like all the other people have been. So it launches us into a flashback for this guy. And basically he just had high expectations from his dad and he didn't like him drawing. So he ran away and became friends with this guy because he thought his art was cool. You know, typical development stuff. But they're talking and he notices he has a... Why does he have a tail? There was no talk or show of any beastmen until now. Where did the concept of this come from? It's like I've looked back and when I saw the wanted poster, I thought I was just seeing things or it was just some sort of, you know, like hairband or something. I didn't think those were actual animal ears. But yeah, basically he was his first friend and he's just using all his money so he can find him. So after getting these guys on the case, he starts walking home and on the way home he finds... Ooh, nope. When you see that, turn around, get out of there. Wherever you are not supposed to be there anymore. But like that one guy in a horror movie, he just keeps going forward to investigate, which I never got that. Go, leave. There's so many reasons you should not be here. But he goes forward and ends up finding his friend. And he's walking away like he just got jumped. He's not looking good. And then this Torii gate appears and then these crows start flying out and then you get to see... Nah, see, this is why I told you to turn around. This is exactly why we don't go into those areas. Why do people never learn? So this monster appears and he's about to eat this guy and... I know you did not just start running at a 10-foot tall monster with a backpack for a weapon. Alright, let's just close our eyes and we'll see if this is really as stupid as they think it is. Nope, it's really that stupid. He's just throwing stuff at him. But lucky for him, Alma shows up to stop him from doing one of the dumbest things you could possibly do in this situation. And Tao shows up behind him to back him up. She pulls out a Beretta and... Now, I don't know if there's enchanted weapons and stuff in this universe, but what I do know is that doesn't do that. But those shots were enough for him to drop Beast Boy so Alma can grab him before he can get eaten. So they save Beast Boy and tell him, give me 3 minutes tops. And next thing you know, he just starts working this monster. So while Alma is giving this monster the whooping of a lifetime, Tao starts talking about how these things are called Mangas, and they're basically resurrected people and animals that eat people. And that her and Alma are basically Manga exterminators. But enough of the talking, I want to see the fight again. And when we get back to it, Alma is still whooping this thing when Tao says, Kai. And Alma pulls a blade out of his chest. And with a single gets a good tensho, he sends him back to the Shadow Realm. Oh yeah, wasn't there like 5 mil for doing this for him? Well no, they don't get 5 mil, because apparently they don't take money for cleanup jobs. It was your hard work that helped track down Yuki. Bro, you killed the thing. He just happened upon it. That's not investigation. What? Take the 5 mil. But that wraps up chapter 1 and on to chapter 2. So chapter 2 starts us off with them heading back to their HQ, and they end up meeting with another animal person, which they still have not explained why they exist, why they're here, or any premise like that. They're just here. Like, I'm not usually a stickler for some details, but when you have a race of animal-human hybrids walking around, you should probably talk about it, like explain why they exist. So they came back to meet these two people, Yoki and Dara. And basically they come here because they have to draw his blood so she can have those superpowered bullets she was using earlier. They also came to get info on a new job. And apparently people have been going missing around a cemetery lately. The weird part is, it's just the people going missing. All their stuff is being left behind. Now, that doesn't sound weird until you hear them specify that even the clothes are left behind. So they head over to the cemetery and run into this guy on the way there. So they end up joining him while he's... Hey, smoke one out for your grandpa, I guess. But besides that, they basically get into a whole backstory for this guy, which I don't know if he's actually going to become a character or not, because they did that with the last kid and he's gone by the second chapter. But he just talks about how his grandpa was done in by his dad because he wanted to get the insurance money. But then he ended up dying being sick in jail. Hey, God hates ugly, right? And after his flashback and him and Alma having a one-on-one, he goes to empty out a bucket they were using. And right as he goes to empty it out, he gets choke slammed by another Manga. Out of any of the things I could see in the last moments of my life, it would not want to be getting yoked up and hit with a WWE move by this abomination. But before he can take a bite out of him, he ends up getting hit with the dynamic entry. Man, is it just me or do people love using that move now? And I'm with Alma on this. I don't know if this guy's going to be part of the plot or not, but I was tired of waiting for these things to finally show up and get an action scene. So Alma's fighting all these Manga while Tao is just yapping this guy's ear off. And here's yet another piece of information that was never prefaced on and we never knew before now. Apparently these things have sentient, conscious thoughts. Like all the way up until now, I got the impression they were just kind of, brainless monsters or whatever. I didn't think they were having coherent thoughts and genuine tribulations like this guy's having. I guess Vegeta was right, because these things can feel fear. But right before Alma can finish him off, it turns out he can actually speak, too. I'm so confused on what's going on. Is he special for some reason, or are all Manga like this? I'm not gonna lie, the amount of plot holes I'm seeing is just kind of wild. So the Manga says he won't attack anyone anymore as long as they let him go, and Alma says he'll hear him out if he begs for his life. Dog, his character switched up like Super Saiyan Gohan. Where on earth did this attitude come from? Then he starts victimizing himself like he's not eating people. But Alma doesn't want to hear any of it and takes him out mid-sentence. So realizing he's cooked, he has to start pulling on the heartstrings of the kid that came with them. And apparently this Manga is actually his dad. Obviously this thing ain't his dad anymore, but Tao says it's something like the memories clinging to the body. That doesn't explain anything. I'm still confused as to why this is happening. What does it mean for memories to cling to the body? And how does it make it so they can change forms and how they can speak and whatever? But he keeps lying and pulling at heartstrings, trying to say that he did it for Isato. And obviously Isato knows that's cap, so he tells him, bro, just go away. And Alma just goes, yep, heard him. Rest in piss, bozo. And cleaves him clean in half. So after the fight's done, they wrap up, split ways with Isato, and head back to headquarters. They also ended up dropping a bill for the cleanup squad. Oh boy. Where did 6 zeros worth of damage come into play? Like, I get it, it's not a clean job, but 6 zeros? Give me a sec, I'm gonna transfer yen to US dollars and see how much that's worth. Million yen to US dollars. $7,000? What did they do that we didn't see? And that's just 1 million yen. 1 million. They broke at least $7,000 worth of headstones. Alma, they're just rocks? After everything that Isato just went through, they're just rocks? So chapter 3 starts us off with, okay, straight into it, gotcha. But anyway, it cuts over to Alma working in that noodle shop from before to pay off his debt to them. And then when he gets back, he runs into this guy in the office. So this guy's Tatsuomi, and he's the guy they go to for all their information. And basically this guy charges for his info, but is also down bad for Tao. So he brought over info about a recent string of events happening. And when they finally look at the picture, it's, I'll leave just enough for you to deduce what's happening, but I am not about to show that. Let me just say it does involve the girl from earlier in the chapter. But they take a look at another picture and they find out that the crime photo is not how she was done in. Because he has a picture of her in the mortician's office and they see hand marks around her neck. And since Manga attacked people to eat them, it doesn't make sense why a Manga would be doing this. Not to mention the fact that they're all girls and they're all being left on display. And Tatsuomi mentions this might be whoever Tao's been looking for. Don't ask me, man. They never even mentioned she was looking for anyone. So with this new info, they decide to start checking out the local shrines. So while almost messing with the bell, hoping that this investigation will be short, one of the Manga gates shows up right behind them. And right as these guys walk out, they immediately get to slicing, dicing, and blasting. You know, I might not follow this religion, but isn't destroying the statue and then using its head as a baseball extremely disrespectful? Again, I know nothing about the religion, but something about that just feels wrong. And in typical God of War fashion, a few more show up just to be more annoying. But it sucks for them, because they're on Give Me a Story mode. She pops a few more, and one of them actually manages to bite her, but it does nothing, and she just blows his back out. Pause! I'm not gonna lie, man, if you guys are doing this and it has no effect, just pack it up. Go get a choice band or something, bro, because you're not winning this. Finishes those chumps off, goes to reload, and did you seriously just put the mag in place so you could slam it against his head to reload? That was unnecessarily disrespectful. What was that? I get these guys are a pain, and I'd do the same to the grunts in the boss areas too, but that was unnecessary. So she finishes her grunts off. One more pops up behind her, but you know, she and Alma got an aura farm real quick. And since they fought a whole bunch of Manga but found nothing, they decided to just pack it in. But of course, we gotta get the typical mysterious villain hiding on a rooftop just watching and... Hey yo, what are you making that face for? Anyway, it cuts back to them heading back to the office. And Tao and Tatsu decide to start going over what happened today while Alma runs out to grab some food. And once Tao starts talking about it, she starts saying how it's more like the situation was meant to be that way instead of them just hitting a dead end. And Tatsu ends up mentioning how it would suck for whoever she's looking for to actually be a Manga. And after saying that, he says he's heading back to his home base. And he leaves her to sit up here just dramatically flicking a lighter. And then it cuts over to Alma heading back from the snack shop. And he ends up running into Freaky Face from earlier. And with an abruptness, that's the end of Volume 1. Final review. Cover art, I'll probably give it like a 7, because it is good art, it's just not good enough to where it's eye-catching. The story art itself, though, I'll probably give it a 9, because the story art is really good, it's very detailed, and it's got a whole lot of things going on despite how detailed it is. The story itself, though, I can only give it a 5, because it feels like a lot of the details are either randomly thrown at you, or just not covered at all. Like, I'm sure you remember me talking about it during the video, but stuff like with the Beast People or the background for Tao, it seems like it was just randomly thrown in there to generate some sort of like mystery. I'll give the characters an 8 because they are pretty funny. Alma, Tao, and Tatsuomi have a good synergy going on. And despite me complaining about it earlier in the video, this is a book about detective work. So they're gonna go into backstories for people without actually keeping them around. Yet another 0 for the Spice-O-Meter. I'll admit, I kind of like the streak we're going on right now. For the overall rating, I can only give it between a 6 and a 7. Because the thing is, as good as the art and the characters are, which I really do like, the story is what really brings the rating down. Because you can have as good art and as good a characters anywhere, but if the story isn't compelling enough to retain attention, or has random details kind of just thrown at you, it really affects how the book is going to come across. And finally, would I suggest this to someone else? As much as I could argue yes, I just have to say no, because if I don't find it interesting enough myself to continue reading over other books, I wouldn't suggest it to someone else. But anyways, yeah, that's my review of Gokurakugai. I finally got it right. Thanks for sticking around and watching my review. If you have any books that I haven't done and you want me to read and put a video up for, feel more than free to go into the comments and leave whatever your suggestions are. Of course, I do have plans for what I want to do next, but I'm always willing to listen to suggestions from you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know whenever I upload next, and I'll catch you in the next one. God bless you guys. Peace.